I've paid off over $100,000 in student loan principal. Woohoo! That means the end is in sight for me. Stay tuned if you want to find out how I've done it and my tips for making the final push. My student loan debt story goes like this. I borrowed $118,000 to become a clinical pharmacist. I went to a public in-state university and borrowed only enough to cover tuition and books. But by the time I graduated, because of the interest rates on my federal loans, that 118 became 128, and after a year spent in residency specializing, that 128 became $132,000. I made an expensive mistake early on because I stayed on the federal repayment plan and didn't refinance my student loans. Because of that, I paid about twice as much interest as I needed to and wasted $7,000 in 1 year alone. I started making real progress on my student loan debt once I refinanced to a much lower interest rate. My strategy since then has been to pay extra as often as I could and as much as I could. I graduated residency with my full amount of student loan debt in June of 2014. That means this $100,000 in principal that I've paid off is about 4 years in the making. I've only got about $31,000 left to repay, and I am so excited. Here are the strategies I'm using to make the final push to get my student loans paid off. If you're looking for that motivation for your own, maybe some of these will help. My first tip is to check your student loan balance every time you get paid. Not just when you make your monthly payment, but every single time you get a paycheck. That way, when you're already looking at it and seeing how much interest you've accrued since your monthly payment, if you have a little extra money, you might be more likely to put it on your student loans. My second tip is to make an extra payment every time you get paid. Maybe you get paid bi-monthly and you only have a required payment that's once a month. So maybe with that second paycheck, you can see how much you have and plan to make an extra payment. By paying twice a month, you decrease the amount of principal that you're accruing interest on, so you save yourself some money in the long run. My third tip is to acknowledge milestones, whether they're big or small. Paying off $100,000 of principal is huge for me. I thought I would never get here. So even though it's kind of a weird time to be acknowledging it, I'm happy I did, and I cannot wait to get rid of that last $31,000. By acknowledging milestones, you recognize how far you've actually come instead of worrying about how far you have to go. My last tip is to imagine what it's going to be like when you're free from the burden of student loan debt. Once you start thinking about how good that's going to feel, it can give you a little extra kick to get there. How are you guys doing on your student loan principal? I'd love to hear your story and your numbers. Leave me a comment below with how much you've paid off of your student loan debt. I hope you guys liked this week's video. If you do, please give me a like and hit that subscribe button. There's a new video every Wednesday. We'll see you guys next week. Bye.